how many games you think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to win? Let's start there.
48.
48. Okay, I like it.
48 games. That number can go up or down depending on what we do in the center position. I think 48. I think we're still above 45. I think we're at 48. And that puts us in good position in the playoffs for the West. Does it put us as high as it was with Steven Adams? Absolutely not. He's anyone who watches Grizzlies basketball, like, you could tell. One thing that was interesting is, like, the overall NBA media had, like, a reaction to losing Steven Adams, and then anyone who's watched Grizzlies basketball within the last 2 years had a, like, way outsized reaction, like, times 5 to, like, losing Steven Adams. So that is a material difference. We were talking about 50 as that kind of mark.
Yeah.
I think now we're pretty under 50. I think we can safely say we're between that 45 and 50 mark. We were debating over 50, but now I'm a little under 50.
Yeah, I really hope nobody took that bet, which we, by the way, told you shouldn't make, but that about plus 200 bet at the Grizzlies to win 50 games. That with this Western Conference and with the injuries that the Grizzlies are facing would be an incredible season. And if the Grizzlies win 50 games and Taylor Jenkins is not Coach of the Year, something is seriously wrong with the voting. And we're getting some serious anti-Memphis bias that we already know exists. But my number for the Grizzlies is 47 and 35, very similar. And as we're about to reveal our playoff pictures, I have the Grizzlies at 4th in the West, which would still be a tremendous result. I'm banking on the fact that this is a franchise that takes the regular season very seriously, that it's a young team with admittedly not great depth, but enough versatile pieces that they should be able to weather those 1 to 2 week absences that are just inevitably going to come up. And even without Steven Adams, this is still a team that's going to play elite level defense. That's going to win them a lot of regular season games. Plus, I don't think their division is all that great. But Karna, just run me through the 8 teams you have making the playoffs in the Western Conference.
So I have the Grizzlies at 5 to start up at the top. Okay. One really quick disclaimer. I am not providing betting advice. I am not providing any gambling advice throughout this episode. Let's start there.
Yeah. I don't think you can even bet on the order of playoff teams anyway. If you can, Karna's not telling you what to do.
Yeah, quick disclaimer as to every episode, never giving you betting advice, especially after this weekend, but we don't need to worry about that. I didn't actually bet, fantasy-wise, I bet on someone that was stupid. Never doing that again. Fantasy is stupid. I don't do fantasy. Don't give advice on that either.
You shouldn't because you just lost to...
All right. No.
See, you lost to me. That's who you lost to.
See, dude, I've never seen anyone want to play football less than this. You're the worst. Like,
I love controlling the soundboard.
I've never seen anyone want to play football less than Deshaun Watson wants to play football. Like, even me in 3rd grade, after I threw up on myself during the first practice, wanted to play football more than Deshaun Watson. Shout out Kenny Miller if you're listening. He's like a big Browns fan. So my first is the Nuggets, 2nd Suns, 3rd Lakers, 4th Warriors, 5th Grizzlies, 6th Wolves, 7 Kings, 8 Thunder, 9 Pelicans, 10 Mavs, 11 Clippers.
Nice.
Yeah.
No explanation needed because listen to my rankings, and I promise you, we filled this out separately, but you could tell that these great basketball minds think alike because I also have the Nuggets at the 1 seed. I originally said I thought they were going to win 60 games. Then I looked at their bench. They're not winning 60 games, but I still believe in Jamal Murray, Jokic, Gordon, and MPJ, which is the best 4-man combination in the NBA to get them to the number 1 seed. Then I have the Lakers, who I think are going to have a surprisingly competitive regular season with their depth. Suns, Grizz, Warriors, Wolves, Kings, Pelicans sneaking in over the Thunder at 9, Clippers at 10, Mavericks 11. So I believe the only team we disagree on making the playoffs is the Pelicans versus Thunder. Let's see. Or, yes, you had the Thunder in, I had the Pelicans in.
Yeah.
That's such a coin flip with both because
Depends
both
on
are
what
uber
Zion and
talented.
Chet. It depends on what Zion and Chet are. Like it really comes down to who's going to be the more impactful player out of those two. I gave the slight edge to Chet just because even though that foot injury is nasty, I think from what he's shown in the small sample size that we've seen, he can really, really compete in a. And I think his ability fits better in his team right now than Zion. I don't know if we're going to see Zion all season, so we'll see. It's just really coming down to that matchup.
Yeah, that's a great point. Those two guys are huge swing players. I'm not as concerned about Chet's health as I am about him just adjusting to NBA life.
Yeah.
With Zion, it's just, is he going to play? When he plays, he's awesome.
Yeah.
We know this. But is he going to play? I am betting that we're going to get more Zion than we have in the past couple of years, and that he's going to be pretty good. And if that's the case, they may be higher than 8. The Pelicans do have tremendous upside. And as I said earlier, I do see them as the bigger risk to the Grizzlies within the division than the Mavs, who I'm just betting against Kyrie Irving. I think that's a solid bet, and we both seem to with where we have them.
They're gonna blow it up this year. I just have a feeling they're just gonna blow it up and build something. They have to try to build something around Luka while he's still. I mean, immediately, and it's such a weird position for that organization to be in. But Grant Williams being your third best player is just not a feasible outcome for this Western Conference.
Yeah,
and it's they're verging on disaster. But one thing I will say about Zion, if I'm the Pelicans front office, it would be malpractice to see him for more than. He should be playing less than Joel Embiid. I'll leave it at that. He should just be playing whatever his Joel Embiid's games are. He should be Zion. We should see Zion less.
So when Joel sits, they gotta call and say, oh crap, guys, we need to scratch Zion for this game.
Exactly.
If Karna was running the Pelicans, that's what will be happening. If Karna was running the Pelicans, he would also have shut down the team buffet, or at least denied access to one certain member of the roster.
Brownie's at the gym.
Let's hit the East real quick, which we don't talk about the East very much, but at the top, it is a way more compelling race in my opinion, at least between the top two, which we have the same. But give me your 8 Eastern Conference playoff teams, and you can add your play-in teams if you want.
Yeah, I'm going Celtics, Bucks, and this is the surprising one. I'm going Knicks. I think they're going to take a step forward. I think Jalen Brunson, has proven himself to be a really, really good asset along with Julius Randle. I think they're going to win a lot of regular season games. That does not mean I think they're going to perform that well in the playoffs. Playoffs and regular season are different. Sixers, Heat, Cavs, Pacers, Hawks, which you have kind of high relative to me, Magic, Bulls.
Yeah, I have them significantly higher, but we agree on a lot. I see that the top 2 and bottom 2, at least in our top 10s, are exactly the same. I have the Celtics at 1, Bucks at 2, Cavs at 3, Hawks, who you left out of the field, at 4. Think they're in for a big season, at least a big regular season. 5, the Knicks. 6, Heat. 7, Sixers, who I just foresee having major issues, whether they keep James Harden or whether they're able to finesse a trade for him. Either way, it's going to lead to issues for them. James Harden has assured them of that. And then 8, Pacers, who I think are going to have a really solid season, a team that's not being talked about enough. 9, Magic. 10, Bulls, the team right down the road. But a lot of similarity there. Let's just get to who we think's playing in the West and East finals and who's winning. Since we just did the East power rankings, let's do the East. Who is in your East finals?
I think we have both the same East finals, Bucks versus Celtics.
Who do you have winning?
I have Celtics winning. I think that
defend yourself.
Yeah, I think they're moving. I think Kristaps Porzingis opens up the floor for them in a way that it wasn't open before. I think that lends itself better to Jaylen Brown's fit going forward. Right now, again, not providing betting advice, but Vegas is a good litmus test of the probability of things happening.
Absolutely.
They have the Celtics and Bucks even at winning the championship from last I saw. I think it's a coin flip, though. I think I just like the Celtics depth a little bit better is where I'm giving them the edge.
I think we had like a 30-minute debate on this a couple episodes ago, so check out that, and we'll link it in this episode to see how our thoughts compare on Bucks Celtics. But all that to say, I have the Bucks coming out of the East, and it's just a bet on Giannis and Dame, and it's a bet on the Celtics still being clunky offensively. I love Drew Holiday, and I don't know how the heck you're going to score on that bunch. But in the playoffs, we've just seen the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and now adding another fairly similar player in Drew Holiday. It just gets a little bit clogged up. And they were betting that by getting Marcus Smart out of there, getting Grant Williams out of there for, I guess, chemistry reasons, and adding a shooting big in Kristaps Porzingis, that they were just going to fix all that. And I'm going to bet not. And I think nobody is going to be more motivated this year than the Bucks, given the age of Dame, given the fact that Giannis has watched Jokic take his best player in the NBA title, not to mention the NBA title. You're going to see an inspired performance from them all season.
I as soon as you said that, all of like Giannis's mindset, I think, is the closest I've seen to someone having like a healthy, competitive, but like as close to Kobe while being healthy as possible. And I think like, because Kobe wasn't mentally healthy, I think we can agree he was freakishly competitive.
Yeah.
But Giannis is like, I love his mindset. But yeah, continue. We can move on to Western Finals if you want.
Yeah, West Finals. Who do you have in it?
I have Lakers Nuggets. And again, this is my so people, I think you're gonna advocate for Suns Nuggets. I'm gonna preempt one thing. I'm going defense and depth when I see the Lakers. And notice I ranked the Suns over them in my regular season ranking. I think the Suns are a regular season team without good depth. That being said, they did help their depth a little bit with recent trades, grabbing Nasir Little, and we had a debate on Grayson Allen, but grabbing some of those pieces.
That was the other piece of that debate, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still taking the Lakers. I think it's a close series if they see each other, Lakers-Suns. I'm taking Lakers-Nuggets. Nuggets win the championship.
Yeah, I like it. I think I can't disagree with anything you said there, because when the Suns initially made the Brad Beal move, I said the same thing you did, which is, where's the defense? Where's the depth? I don't believe that adding Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen is helping the defense part at all. Allen helps the depth. Nasir Little, I am looking out for to help that depth a little bit. I think, and particularly the defense part. I think he will be an impact defender for them, at least at the regular season level. And then I thought about the Suns more, and I thought about that playoff series against the Nuggets, and how the Nuggets sold out to stop Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Still couldn't do it, by the way, but were willing to concede any open shot to the island of misfit toys known as the corner, where Josh Okogie, Torrey Craig, or Landry Shamet was standing wide open. And the Nuggets were like, yeah, we're cool with that. You can do that all day. Just don't let Devin Booker take an even mildly contested mid-range jumper. Now that's going to be Brad Beal. Now that's going to be Eric Gordon. And that alone is going to create so many problems for NBA defenses. I actually think in their regular season, they're going to have games where they don't care, games where all of their key guys are out. I don't think they're going to be an incredible regular season team, but come playoff time, I don't know how you're stopping them. And yet I'm still going to go with the unstoppable force, the most unstoppable force in all of the NBA. He may not look like it, but when that man, Nikola Jokic, gets into the playoffs, he sees your defense and he says, you are mine. I own you. And I am going to find every last way I can destroy you. And the Suns will give him plenty of ways. So I do have the Nuggets winning the West. Did you say your West pick? Who you had winning?
I have the Nuggets winning, my West pick. And the Nuggets winning everything.
So you have the Nuggets repeating.
Yeah, I have Nuggets repeating.
Have the Bucks.
Yeah.
As I just said, I think we're going to get extremely motivated Dame and Giannis. And I would just imagine how much fun it would be to see Giannis and Jokic in the finals.
And this is a caveat I will give you. I think if my thought is Celtics, my prediction is Celtics, right?
Yeah.
If Giannis gets to the finals, I want to say it here. If Giannis gets to the finals, I don't care who's on the other side. It could be an all-star cast. You can take the West All-Stars and put them right there. Giannis is running through that team. And he's going to get physical. And he's going to... Oh, I would love to see Giannis in the finals. But yeah, I still think Celtics edge them out in that series. But if Giannis gets to that finals... Ooh, Jokic better get the ice bath ready because Giannis running through that, man.
That is going to be the ultimate defensive test for Jokic, who very much acquitted himself in last year's playoffs on that end, but is still overall a question mark.
And Giannis is a different animal.
No, he is. And I guess the question there is going to be, can Dame Lillard truly outplay Jamal Murray at that point in the season? And I'm going to bet on yes. When Dame finally gets the chance at the biggest stage, he will take advantage. He will be Dame time. Let's just wrap up with our awards. I don't know. Did you make a pick for most improved 6-man rookie of the year?
I actually have a fringe guy for 6-man of the year.
Okay.
Malik Monk. This is my fringe guy.
I
think he's really acquitted himself well in the playoffs. He's streaky, so he has to hit an incredible hot streak.
Yeah.
And really play within himself. Similar to Zaire Williams, actually. Like, not get too high, not get too low, just right in the middle. Rookie of the year, fringe. The guy is Wemby, obviously. Scoot, 2, sure. Let me give you a couple fringe guys. I'm going to give you Cam Whitmore.
All right.
Right?
A steal for sure.
Yeah. That... One of the Thompson twins too, are fringe guys, and then Chet Holmgren's still a rookie, right? So, guys to think about.
Yeah,
but it's Wemby's to lose, I think.
Chet is a name to look out for since he's going to count for that award. Wemby's just going to get so much social media attention. It's already happening that the voters who are paying most attention to their own team, the beat writers out there, they're going to know way more about Wemby than they know about anybody else. I don't know if he's going to impact winning in a meaningful way this year. Not that he's not going to be great, but just the team around him is not built to win. But he's going to make enough of those highlights that it's going to be hard for anybody to overcome it. Even somebody like Chet, who's similarly popular. My pick for a 6-man, I wrote down IDK Bro because it's so hard to predict both this and most improved.
Yeah.
But one strategy, if you are a betting person, look at whoever is not starting between Derek White and Drew Holiday by the time the season is a good way through in Boston, and bet on that guy. Because either Derek White or Drew Holiday is a starting level player, capable of putting up big stats, particularly if it's Holiday. And they're going to get a lot of attention on one of the league's most popular teams. They're going to be very much a plus asset defensively. They're probably going to be in closing lineups. So either one of those guys would have a great chance to win because one of them is probably not going to start. And then Emmanuel quickly, Bobby Portis finished 2nd and 3rd last year to Malcolm Brogdon. Either one of them could get it going this year. Portis in particular is going to get a ton of attention. His team is going to need him because their bench is not strong in Milwaukee. I do have a pick for most improved player as well. And this is one I really haven't seen anybody mention. But Jamal Murray for most improved player. I believe you can get him at like plus 6,500. But he's never averaged more than 21.2 points per game in a regular season. And I think he's going to be over 25 this season. He's finally healthy. They're going to be able to ride him hard. They're going to need to because their depth is not great. And that's kind of the same argument we have for Desmond Bane, right? Is that he's already respected as a good player. Jamal Murray much more so. But if they make that statistical leap, that's really all voters need to see for that most improved.
Yeah, for most improved, I mean, you have Desmond Bane in this conversation. I agree. I have Desmond Bane in this conversation. Fringe pick Zaire Williams. Who knows, man? If he has like a really breakout season and he averages like close to like 15 to 18 a game, why not Zaire Williams? I mean, Jamal Murray's a bigger name. I get it, and the national media is biased against our boys in the 901. So like. But it would be just cool. I think it would be a cool story to see Zaire Williams up there. You want to talk MVP real quick?
Yeah. Who's your pick?
Giannis.
All right, I like it. I mean, you can't argue.
That man is on a mission this year. Dude, why am I talking myself out of my own pick?
It's so easy to do. We've had too much time to think about this stuff.
Yeah. Giannis is my pick. I'll let you go ahead and hit yours real quick.
I've got Jokic for the reason that people didn't want to vote him MVP, even though he might have deserved it last year because he'd won the previous two, and they're like, well, he hasn't done it in the playoffs. Now he very much did it on the playoffs. Almost everybody respects him as the greatest player in the world at this moment. His team is going to need him even more than Giannis's team is in terms of statistics because the Nuggets really are not deep at all. They're asking Christian Brown to do a whole lot this year. So I just think it's his to lose, and people are going to, by default, want to reward him for the playoffs he had last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that makes sense. I think it'll be a big man again this year. I think it'll be one of the three that was up there last year, just because their counting stats are going to be ridiculous. And one thing you could see with Giannis is like he has to do less. I think Giannis is not really concerned with the MVP award. I think he wants to win another championship. So you might see a little bit more load management and not so many words of like, okay, we're up big in this game. We don't need him. Like, let's cut his minutes pretty drastically. Let's have some Dame time. Now that he has like a guy who can consistently score on the other end, in the backcourt.
Yeah, that's a good point with, I guess, against your own MVP pick. But I do see that perhaps either one of those guys, Jokic or Giannis, because of the emergence of their secondary scorer, be it Jamal Murray in Denver or Dame Lillard in Milwaukee, maybe they're not scoring as much this year. But I still expect that everything's going to run through those two guys anyway. It's really hard for me to even picture like a fringe candidate. I'll give credit to Chris Harrington, the Daily Memphian, who said Devin Booker, and I said, okay, I could get with that. Like if you wanted to go deep cut,
signature shoes out coming out.
He deserves.
Could have a different type season. Jason Tatum is another one. He's always in that conversation.
At some point, you think he's going to get there, but I think both he and Embiid are going to be hurt by their playoffs last year.
Yeah,
which is probably not fair for the MVP, but people are going to say maybe you don't deserve that given what you've done.
Fringe guy. I mean, he's not going to win it, but just guys to like talk about, throw in there. Julius Randle could have a big season. He's like their only guy. Like I would love to see.
He's going to put up stats, but yeah, I just don't think he's going to put up stats.
He's not going to be efficient. Jimmy Butler, that dude. Imagine him winning that with his like the photo that he took. It would be all time funny. Yeah, those are some guys. Here's one guy that I would love to see. He's gonna get maybe an MIP couple votes. Maybe he's gonna be somewhere in this conversation of guys that are just emerging. Paolo Banchero is a guy that you and I saw live.
He's amazing, but that'd be a massive leap.
Not to MVP. Sorry, not to MVP.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's a guy to look out for in this elevated conversation, right? Like a guy that's going to take a leap, a guy that could get some MIP votes is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
We saw his game. He impressed again in the FIBA World Cup. His bag is so deep. That's such a fun team that's going to have some eyes on them. Guys, if you're not even a Magic fan, just catch a game. It's a fun team to watch. I love watching Paolo Banchero play basketball, even though he went to Duke. So Paolo Banchero is a guy that could be MIP.
He might not even be the best player in his own team. And Franz Wagner might also be in that MIP conversation. But I love Banchero as well. Interesting, we never mentioned Luka, who has the third shortest odds at MVP. I guess because last year he was nowhere close to an MVP level. He's going to have to do a lot to overcome his team, really, because neither of us even have them in the playoffs. And I think best case scenario, they're like a 5 seed. So you're going to have spectacular numbers to win with that. But